or that's why I bought Magix. I prefer editing with DaVinci Resolve. It's a much more robust program, and the way it deals with it is very strange but effective because what it does is it takes the film and it puts every other frame. So left, right, left, right, left, right. And what I did was I made two copies of the same clip, sped it up to put the speed at 200%. Then I went to the next clip, chopped off the first frame, sped that one up 200%, put them side by side, absolutely perfect. And the sound synced. When the file is put in, the sound is not in sync because the sound is half the length of the video. So you almost have to do that for to get it to work. I mean, it's a little cumbersome, but once you got that, which takes less than a minute, then you can edit it.
Is this
And
a
so,
video that you've posted somewhere that we can see? Is this like a side by side
no, I
video?
just I just discovered it. I've only got one little like 5 second clip, and because I'm been working on other stuff, but um, it's yeah, there's a lot of potential. I mean, yeah, what I would post would just be two side by side images, and I squeeze them because that seems to work with my TV.
So, do you know if there was something that changed in Da Vinci that made it possible, or what changed if it didn't used to be possible and it's now
Well, I
possible?
mean, I do regular updates. They give me updates, and everybody, if you're interested in video editing, this one is free. Now they have a paid version if you need to render in 4K, but if 2K is sufficient for you, then this is, and there are a few effects that you get when you buy it. And the purchase version is something like $300, and it's not a subscription, so you pay for it and then you have it. And everybody who buys it says, "Oh, don't buy it. Buy their switcher, which is like $400, and it comes free with the professional version." But this is my first time hearing that the free version had three. And I know when I first got it, I tried to load in a file from W3 and it didn't recognize it. So this is definitely a change. Um, it was weird too because I was just editing normally and I happened to see that it had a menu item that said left eye, right eye.
Huh.
It doesn't work. It doesn't do anything when I bring in the W3 files, but it knows something about 3D, and it is you know, able to take the files in. So might not ever be using Magix
So
anyway.
I have played briefly with Da Vinci Resolve, and I like it, and I recommend it at the free version.
Yeah, I'm fine with the free version. There's really nothing in the paid version so far that I think I need. Yeah, I highly recommend it. I spent a lot of time editing on Premiere and Premiere Pro from Adobe, and I actually prefer, even if I had to pay, I prefer DaVinci Resolve.
Do you recall when you first tried to import W3 video into DaVinci? Was it like years ago or something?
Yeah,
Yeah. So at some
yeah.
point, there was a software update, I guess. That to me is definitely a what's the word I'm looking for? That's a
Encouraging.
Yeah, that's encouraging. I mean, compared to how often features like that just get kind of ignored or left behind. 'Cause I wouldn't consider there are a lot of people importing video from the W3, but I guess enough people spoke up.
It's good that it can take an AVI because it couldn't take also just a flat AVI. It couldn't take anything but QuickTime and MP4. But now it can take other. I haven't taken that any farther. I haven't tried what else you can load in.
Very
I mean, I
interesting.
would just convert them. I have, some free converters. But now I don't have to go through that step, at least not for the.
Well, that's good to know. And this, of course, you're running this on the Mac, right? Herb, you certainly
No,
are.
no, no. I have a
And
PC.
you're running it on Windows,
I
Yeah,
am running it on a Mac.
on a Mac.
yeah. I was just going to say that it's DaVinci works on both.
That's really good to know. Well, maybe I'll stop recommending Magic's Movie Edit Pro now that I've heard this testimony.
Certainly because people can try it and try it for free and use it for free as long as they want.
You can't beat
Yeah,
free.
can't beat free, but I mean, it's really a great it's a great program, free or not.
Well, thanks, Steve. All right,
You're welcome.
let's get started with the slideshow. Let me share my screen here. Let's see, is that what I'm looking for? Yeah. A little bit out of sorts tonight. I've came down with whatever the virus this season is. Got plenty of rest, but still not 100%. So I'll try to stay quiet tonight. I'm going to skip. We have a workshop. This was Bob's workshop. I don't think he's going to make it here tonight. And we have a good-sized slideshow tonight. I did not randomize the slides. I had some later entries. So we will hear from the makers. We'll see their contributions in one block. And we're going to start off with Steve tonight. And Steve's first entry is Buenos Aires Cemetery.
Yeah, so my wife is, watching videos about, what's in Buenos Aires since he discovered this cemetery, which actually you have to pay a fee to enter. I can't remember the name of it, but it's, ancient. I mean, there's a lot of the graves are hundreds of years old. But we had a nice sky that day. And so I was able to get some good 3D pictures. It's not too far from the Science Museum. Not that you would know anything about what's in Buenos Aires.
A nice composition and definitely a nice sky.
Thanks.
And you got the light coming from a nice angle too. You can see all the detail in these grave markers.
Yeah, I took quite a few pictures, and they're all like, oh, that's good for this, but not that. That's the old story. But I do have another one for next week.
Looks like you've mounted it right at the window too. Did you adjust that in Stereo Photo Maker, or were you just the right distance from the?
Yeah, I think that just happened. I mean, I go into Stereo Photo Maker just to make sure they're properly aligned and try to do the color matching. And then sometimes I'll do it just to make sure it doesn't go awkwardly over the line at the bottom. So I may have adjusted it just so, like the base of this foreground tombstone didn't stick out from the frame. But I know, Oleg, I've seen Oleg do some little tricks with, shaping the foreground. I may try that one day.
Well, we'll look forward to that, Steve. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
Now, I'm not sure, Steve, about the title of this next one and the one following it. Is this La Boca Artist or is it L.A. Boca Artist?
It's
La
It's
Boca.
also Buenos Aires. It's an area of Buenos Aires that has the colorful buildings, and then this artist was just sitting on the street. In the original picture, he's almost a silhouette. So I, went in and lightened him up a little bit. I mean, he's still in the shadow, of course. But yeah, this is like my favorite area there. A lot of this last month. I had the figures, the woman, the maple mache woman sticking her arm out from the window, which would have been good for next week.
For Through the Window.
Yeah, so it's from the same area.
This is in the same neighborhood.
Yeah, it's several blocks where there's lots of activity. The sculptures and everybody paints their house in these primary and secondary colors, very bright. And they also have people, tango dancers out in the street, although they have that almost everywhere.
Everywhere in
I
the
did
world,
have a
you
couple
mean,
of
or
good-
everywhere in Buenos Aires?
In Buenos Aires, yeah, you don't have to go. I mean, I guess in the touristy areas, because they'll be asking for money. There was actually a woman came up and started dancing with me, and then asked for money, and we were like, "No, you asked for money first." And
You could try asking her for money.
what's that?
You could ask her for money.
Yeah, so yeah, I provided a dance. Of course, she was more dressed more appropriately for it. She was, had the tango dance with a skirt slit up the side. But yes, that's a good point. I'm sure it's effective. People will do it just so you can get a nice picture.
Well, thanks, Steve. Am I correct in supposing this is not the last photo from this neighborhood that we'll see? Well, I think actually the next one is.
I think I have two from in this
We've got
section.
La Boca Street.
Yeah, this is just a typical street. Nothing particularly. I mean, you can see the arm of the woman from last month up in the upper right corner, and
With
you
the
can see
red
some
sleeve.
yeah, the red sleeve. That's her, and then you can see there's a guy sort of in the center at the top. So they're all over the place.
I like the composition, except for the one woman on the lower right who's outside the window quite a bit.
Yeah, I seriously considered trying to paint her out, but I thought it would maybe be a little bit too much work. Although I probably could use Matt's technique and just put a block there, just a blobby shape that would roughly represent that guy's back. I actually painted out. There was a woman with gray hair that was it was so light that it was distracting, and she was more in the foreground. She was in front of that woman, and so I was really focused on getting rid of her. And now that you mention it, I think yes, it would have been more effective and maybe even doable to do something. I mean, I could even put like a sign or something there. I've done that before.
Yeah, I don't think it's worth a lot of effort to try to surgically remove her or anything. I think your idea of either a block or nothing. I mean, it's not too terribly distracting. It's reasonable. it was just notable. And
Yeah, I mean, I could have done that. I was afraid that if I did that, I would lose some of the depth in the picture. But maybe I see Matt's, going in, and I'm gonna try and make an adjustment. So we'll see if it. Yeah, I could.
want to see one of Matt's gray boxes.
Let's play around with this. Let's see.
I think he's just gonna push her to the window.
Oh, I pulled around with it a little bit. I don't see an easy way. I really do think it's fine the way it is, but
Yeah.
but it might be worth trying with the like with the gray box or something, and then the box itself you could easily push into, push it back to the stereo window, and I think then it would just disappear.
So is she at the frame line now? At the window? She looks like she's still extending out from it.
Oh yeah, in Matt's I can't tell.
So I'm, yeah, it might take a few moments to catch up. I've just been doing some horizontal alignment to these to kind of push her forward, just to see what it looks like. And I've done it to all of the streams. It might take a few moments to catch up. And
yeah, I tried that too. It pushes everything else back as well.
Right, yeah.
Like the awning on the left is starting off nicely positioned just behind the window.
Yeah,
it looks to me like it doesn't have quite as much depth as it had before.
Yeah, I mean, you could crop off a big strip on the right. That might work. I know that's kind of a painful thing to consider, but
Maybe, yeah. Maybe
probably not.
replacing,
But go ahead.
maybe replacing the guy's entire body. It'll be easier to just drop in a new body with his head on top, because there's a nice hard line, and then you wouldn't have to worry about like reproducing his clothing. You're just reproducing that entire area.
That's an interesting idea.
Yes, I see what you're suggesting. That is interesting. Yeah. I mean, because his coat is kind of dark, I would imagine a gray shape, a black shape that conforms to his body might look believable. Might work.
I agree. I think since it's so dark there, the black hair and then the dark clothing, you might just, sort of paint those together.
You want me to try that and submit it for next week?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
We can.
Does that mean I can submit 5?
Submit it as just submit 5, and I'll show it as a workshop. We'll look at it before the regular slideshow, and it won't be in the poll, but we'll have a chance to see what you've done and talk about it.
Okay.
I'm very curious to see that. I agree. I don't think my horizontal alignment helped the photo any in terms of the depth and the immediacy.
I'm wondering, let me get an opinion here, if I should crop a little bit on the left, because it seems a little blander on the left than on the rest of the picture.
What do you think, guys?
I
Anybody?
think cropping a bit on the left would be good.
Let's try it.
All right.
I would get out that whole car or truck, whatever it is.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Or at least half of it.
And maybe on the right, cropping out a bit of that warning.
Let's see.
Let me give it a try when I fix it, Matt. Because you said you have a lot of pictures. So maybe we don't need to spend a lot of more time on this one.
There are probably more exciting things to do than to watch me crop a photo. That's fine. I did just crop it on the Zoom screen share for what it's worth. Our
Yeah,
YouTube
yeah.
and
That's,
Twitch viewers, you can see it next week as
I
part
think
of our
that's an
workshop.
improvement. I'm definitely going to do that when I submit it. I'm definitely going to work on that.
Okay. Definitely submit it, and we'll keep talking about it. All right. Next from Steve is now for something completely different. This is Penguin Rock.
Well, it's self-explanatory. This is a cute penguin just resting on a rock. And the only thing I did to this, I probably did crop it a little bit. And then the rock behind his head was mostly black. I mean, if you look at the dark shadows of the other rocks, the darkest part of those shadows is what color was behind his head. So you really couldn't see the shape of his head. So what I did is I just made it lighter so we could identify his head.
That's very effective.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now and thinking I was afraid because it's lighter than all the other shadow areas, but it's believable because it looks like it's at a little bit of a different angle and maybe catching some sun. So yeah, so that did work.
It looks like you had a lot of bright sun on that day.
We had, yes, we had nice bright sunny. Of course, you know, as anybody who's been skiing knows that the sun on the snow is killer. I mean, it's hard. And I'm sure I went into in Affinity and you know took the highlights down, but you can only do so much with a pure white snow.
Right. Yeah, those just lack detail, those white areas.
But I think as long as you can see the penguin, and I didn't find the snow too distracting.
Did you
So
crop this much, or is this more or less
it's
what came
cropped
out
a
of the
little
camera?
bit. It's cropped maybe 10%.
Okay. It looks like you got pretty close to this penguin.
As close as, you know, I could, you know, as I said last time, they restrict us how close we could get to the animals. They're protected. So yeah, otherwise I would have gotten,
Did you
I
use
mean,
your
I wouldn't want to get too close. I'd be always afraid of, you know, scaring them away, although they don't move very fast. Like they're so cute when they move, they waddle just like if you've seen any of the documentaries. And I have some I think pretty good video of them, you know, waddling in 3D. Um, and but yeah, so yeah, I agree. Thanks. I think this is not it's a pretty good distance. I don't feel like, you know, that restriction was hurting the picture.
Yeah, it looks pretty intimate to me.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure if there had been no restriction, I would have gotten closer. Um, but I don't know that it would have made a better picture. Would have had more depth, but I kind of like, you know, the space around him. It's kind of like because he was all alone. That was kind of interesting. That because usually you see him in groups, but he was just out there relaxing by himself or herself. I don't know. I don't know the gender.
Well, I'd love to show your 3D video also, but it doesn't really work great over Zoom, over streaming. I haven't really figured that out yet.
Yeah, I
So,
think that there's too much data going on.
yeah, keep that in your back pocket. Maybe someday I'll ask you for that. All right. Well, thank you, Steve. You really took us all over the world with your group tonight.
Yeah, I appreciate you going along for the ride.
Yeah, it was a thrill. Thank you. Hey, Oleg, we have Forward by You coming up next. I'll put you on the spot with Ruins at the San Pablo Bay National Refuge.
Yeah, this was taken last week. I just like the variety of the objects in the picture and the way the shadows complement the composition.
Yeah, the stripes on that blue thing are really vivid.
Yeah, you sort of have two corrals. These two sort of groupings surrounded by fencing or barriers, and I really like the way that they don't overlap or intersect, and you have that middle piece, the barrier of the first group, serving as kind of a frame or a divider to keep them separate.
This picture did not work. If I went either 2 inches to the left or 2 inches to the right, the composition falls apart. It's very important what is happening in the dead center.
I think in your 3D is different article, you call that the center must hold. Nice that you got the green grass too. This might not be so interesting to me if you had shot it in the late summer.
Well, I'll be there. It's just a 15-mile drive away, 15-minute drive away.
Was this on a hike? What? Where is
Oh,
this?
no, I was going. I was on the way to Vallejo, so
Okay.
dropped off in a nice place. It's a wildlife refuge. That farm no longer is being used.
Yeah, I must have driven by and I'm totally unaware of it.
It's off of Highway 37.
Okay, was this a destination for you, or did it catch your eye driving by?
It caught my eye.
Oh.
The gate is usually closed. I was on a weekend, usually closed, but it was open, so I went in, and nobody shooed me away.
And you've always got your your compositional mind working, even barreling down Highway 37.
Yep.
That's impressive. All right, thank you, Oleg. Next, by Oleg, is White Cars and White Clouds at Lakeside.
Yeah, this is in. What's the name of that country that I went to?
Chile?
Chile. Lots of scenery to photograph there. Anywhere you look.
Those clouds wrapping around that mountain looks really dramatic. Is it moving? Is it swirling around the corner there?
No, it wasn't swirling. It's changing quietly.
I mean, is it sort of flowing in a circular direction? I kind of would love to see a time lapse of it if that's what it's doing. Might even make a nice 3D video.
For me, that person in the red jacket or whatever in the center is very important.
Yeah, definitely.
Small.
Those trucks are weird. It looks like somebody sort of copy and pasted a single white truck.
Yeah.
There's a glitch in the matrix or something.
I'm going to zoom in on those on the screen share. Zoom screen share. I'm just curious. They're Toyota Hiluxes. Oleg, I don't want to talk over your presentation of this lovely photo, but I don't think any of you are aware that I actually wrote a book about the Toyota Hilux. And if you don't know what the Toyota Hilux is, it's the #1 selling pickup in the world everywhere except the United States. In the United States, we have the Toyota Tacoma. And I'll shut up about it now because I want to keep this focused on this wonderful stereo photography. But if you have any questions about the Toyota Hilux, I'm your guy.
I want to know about it now.
I'll tell that story at the conclusion of the slideshow. Just remind me.
Okay.
I want to know what moved you to want to write a book about.
I will remind me at the end of the meeting, and I'll keep you in anticipation until then. It has nothing to do with 3D, but there is a reason for it. It's a strange and bizarre story.
We would be very surprised if you said there was no reason at all.
I hope you got a free car out of it.
Not yet. Yeah, I'll tell this. I definitely will tell this story. And I will show you the thing too. Yeah, actually, that reminds me. I actually wrote 2 books. I just wrote a foreword to an ebook version of Oliver Wendell Holmes' The Stereoscope and Stereoscopic Photographs, articles which he wrote in the 1850s and the 1860s about stereo photography in general, and he touches on the stereoscope that he later designed and that bears his name. But until the end of the slideshow, let's move on. Thank you, Oleg, for letting me talk over your photo.
No problem.
I'll shut up and let you share Geraldine and 2 dogs on railroad tracks.
Yeah, the railroad doesn't work on this particular day, so they're safe.
A wonderful use of light there and composition. Congratulations. That's a great shot to my eyes.
Well, thank you.
And very nice human interest too.
Yeah, she's an animal lover. She talks to dogs and cows. Amazing lady.
There does seem to
Is she
be
telling the dogs that it's there's a train coming off camera in about 5 seconds?
It's something that has the power to transform your life.
And she does seem to have a real connection with the dogs.
Let's see. No, no. Though she has several pets, dogs and cows. She lives on a farm.
Well, there is something on the tracks straight ahead.
It's not moving, not going anywhere.
I hope not. I'm sorry, did you say where this was?
This is in Puerto Varas, Chile.
Ah, thank you.
That's where my cousin lives.
One thing I find fascinating, yeah, it's a great picture, great shadows and sky and lighting. Is that the shadows look like they're in different directions? I guess that's the nature of a wide angle lens.
It is a wide angle lens, but they follow the perspective, whatever it is. That's what it looked like.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you use the railroad tracks as a guide, boy, it's just, I mean, her shadow is going to the left, and their shadow is going to the right. So it's so
So,
interesting. The dogs.
yeah, I look for that in, yeah. I like to have the picture balanced.
Yeah, it's great.
Beautiful. Thank you, Oleg.
Thank you.
And our next one by Oleg is Reflected Couple and Two Fishermen.
Yeah, I was thinking of Matt when I took this picture. Your mirror pictures.
Oh. I never thought I would inspire a photographer like Oleg. You've got that reflection aligned just perfectly.
Yeah, again, it's a question of inches. You got to get the exact right spot.
Yeah, I think if you were a millimeter over, you would cut off part of one of those figures in the reflection.
What is also helpful, I don't know if it's important, is the fisherman on the right side is rod is looking into the middle of the picture. He was moving around, and I took the picture while that rod was in that direction. How important it is, I don't know.
The way it's sort of angled and pointing towards the
Yeah, towards the middle
of
rather than away from the picture.
Yeah.
I mean, that does sort of follow the 2D photography rule of having lines that lead the eye back into the picture. You don't want to lead the eye off.
Unless it's you want sometimes the composition you want to do that.
I suppose it's just one of those. It's just one of those old rules of composition. So it's fine to break the rules, but I think it's also good to know what they are and why. I find it useful myself.
I mean, this is also in Puerto Varas.
The clouds are exquisite.
Yeah, that's what attracted me there. And then those people showed up, and the fishermen were there already.
Yeah, you seem to have found spectacular skies in this area.
Yeah, and the views,
And
very, very famous for its beauty.
it's so clear also. I mean, I can see detail in that land that's across this body of water. Yeah, what an unusual photo. I love that reflection.
Again, if I move forward a little or back a little, it wouldn't show the complete couple there.
Yeah, they fit right in that little.
That'll be in the right place.
They fit right into that little part of the puzzle, of the puddle.
So you
It's also kind of
go ahead, Melinda.
it's also kind of interesting that the behind the couple is that bank of clouds, but in the reflection, the sky is in the background. So it's a different angle. It's kind of interesting, and I think it's probably helpful too to make them stand out in the reflection.
Yeah. Yeah, it's again, you move it a little bit left or right, forward and behind. It won't be the same. Got to compose your pictures.
Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah, thank you, Oleg. I can't get enough of this one. All right. Well, thank you, Oleg.
Thank you.
I am the next photographer in our slideshow. First of all, if you look at the chat, Jay found my Hilux book before anyone else, so he gets the prize. I will tell that story. And before I speak of my photo, I'll put a link to my most recent ebook, which I didn't write. Oliver Wendell Holmes Sr. wrote it. I just wrote the foreword and republished it. And I'll talk a little bit about that at the end of our meeting also. But I do want to talk about my photos. This one is a bit of a creative one. I visited the Pacific Pinball Museum for the first time in Alameda. I don't know what took me so long to get there. If you like pinball, it's definitely the place to be. And this is a pinball machine that I photographed. I was going after the reflections, and then I rotated it upside down and flipped it so that the reflection, that title countdown, was legible. And there's a bit of a window violation at the top, but I just didn't really want to lose any detail, and I thought this was a fun experiment.
You could do it in pseudo too, and then the writing comes in front of the window.
Let me try that. Let me switch these. That's something that I can do.
GLP-1, and this is great job, Matt. I love it.
Oh, thank you.
Do you get to play pinball at the Pinball Museum?
I spent all day playing pinball. The entrance fee is $22, and there are in and out privileges, so you can come and go. And I definitely got my money's worth. Yeah, that's really interesting. I just swapped the images to give it a pseudo view, and yeah, I like that. I especially like the way the countdown reflection is through the window in this case. Yeah, that totally works.
That was the idea. I mean, I don't know what you're going for with it, but it makes it kind of maximally, what's the word? Abstract, I guess.
And it does emphasize the two reflections that I was going after. And I wasn't really going for anything with this. It's more of a creative.
When you pay $22 to get in, they should allow you the chance to win your $22 back if you get a certain score in one of these games.
Well, I was tempted to join the Pinball League, but that would mean my first and second Tuesday and my first and second Wednesday of each month would be tied up, and that might be a little too much for me. So I won't be a competitive pinball player anytime soon.
I used to own a pinball machine called Marble Queen by Gottlieb, 1953. So, of course, I took it apart to look at it. And the tilt gizmo is actually a needle inside a circle of metal. And when you move it too much, it touches the outside circle. And they told me how to beat that is put a very strong magnet right underneath the needle,
So it doesn't swing
which will
around.
prevent it from going sideways when you shake the machine.
Well, the Pacific Pinball Museum, this is in Alameda, California, and they may have that machine. I'll have to look. That specific machine. They have machines from the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, up until last year. And they have some machines that are earlier than that. They hadn't quite evolved to be pinball machines yet, but from an historical perspective, it's really interesting.
I like to think of 3D compositions as pinball for the eyelids,
Yeah.
for the eyeballs.
I think you mentioned that also in your 3D is different article, which is posted on our website. I recall you specifically refer to that as pinball, exploring the composition.
You could put a macro camera right on one of the bumpers and let it inside, take the glass off and then let it bounce to the bumper and get it in close-up 3D video in slow motion.
Do you still have your pinball machine, Peter?
No, I got rid of it 30 years ago.
Too bad.
So Amazon sells these little boards and pinball switches, so you can make a physical buttons for your virtual pinball machine. So with the Quest, you can have it match up with the buttons.
Well, I'm going to Google Marble Queen just while we're chatting to see if I can find one for sale on eBay.
And speaking of cameras, I'm glad you mentioned that, Peter, because I wanted to share that I took this photo with my Red Hydrogen 1, which I've been using recently. I kind of had it on a shelf, and I started carrying it around with me again, and I showed a series of photos that I took with it at the Musée Mécanique. I think that was last month. But in any case, I'm really having a lot of fun with that camera again. I had kind of set it aside, as I said, and now I'm being reintroduced to it, so I'm having a lot of fun with it. This was the perfect subject for it because I was, fairly close to it. Okay, thank you. My next photo is, I'm not sure if I can even pronounce the title, the name of the artist, Olafur Eison. This is called One Way Color Tunnel. It's an installation at the SF MoMA. And I took this with my Beam Pro, which I happen to have on me. And I think this is a fun shot. If you look, you don't have to look too hard to see my reflection in it. I encourage everyone to visit this exhibit. And I did want to say 64 exhibition. Group F64 was a group of fine art photographers out of Oakland in the 20s, the 30s, I think it is. They formed a photography group, sort of a anti-pictorialism group. Their manifesto called for making sharp, clear photos that without photo manipulation. And it's an interesting exhibit, and I wanted to mention it because many of us know that the Golden Gate Stereoscopic Society was originally the Oakland Camera Club, and I've identified at least one of the photographers of this group that was a member of the Oakland Camera Club. This would have been in the 30s. So it's been very interesting for me to research this and learn about these photographers and learn about the huge impact that the East Bay had on fine art photography in the 20th and the 21st centuries. And I recommend everyone who's local check out the show. And that, of course, doesn't have anything to do with the photo, but I did want to share that.
Oh, this is interesting. It looks to me like everything is through the window. Is that correct?
Oh, let me see. Yeah, maybe I need to align it. Let me do that. Let's see. Yeah, I think it definitely needs to be aligned. Looks like I failed to do that here. I've just done that on the Zoom screen share. Let me do that on the other streams. I think that'll make it easier to.
It's so all encompassing that it makes its own border. So in some ways it doesn't matter.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I definitely think it should be aligned to the window. That's just something I neglected to do. Okay, I just did a pretty rough horizontal alignment to improve things for our YouTube and Twitch viewers. It'll catch up in a few minutes, but thank you for calling that out, Melinda. I will fix that on my end.
It's not a problem. It's just an observation.
It's a problem. It's a problem for me.
That said, I do like what you did with it.
Yeah, check it out. All right. Let's go back to the Pacific Pinball Museum. And I definitely want to talk about this one. I was really hoping that George Themelis would join us tonight. I took this with my X-Reel Beam Pro, and I know that George is an evangelist for the X-Reel Beam Pro. But I was very dissatisfied with how this photo came out. This is a low light situation. The lights are dim. A lot of the illumination comes from the machines themselves. And I forget his name, but he was repairing this pinball machine, and I asked if I could take his photo, and he was very gracious. I told him, just ignore me. You look great. But when it came out of the camera, it was very bright, completely overexposed, not at all the photo that I wanted. and all of the lights from the pin light in his mouth and the machines in the back of him were just completely white. And I really wanted to keep the quality of the dark space. So in Photoshop, I brought everything down, but it still lost a lot of detail. And I'll also point out that, you know, this is a handheld shot, and it's really not a great camera for low light situations. And I've mentioned this before. Instead of bringing the sensitivity, the ISO up, it brings the shutter speed down, and that's never what I want in a 3D photo. So if you zoom in on this, you see there's a real loss of detail. I'll zoom in a little bit. His face is, you know, very, very soft, and it's just because there's some motion blur. I don't know what the shutter speed was, but it was, you know, probably under 1/200th of a second. So I just wanted to complain about this camera. I am not as big a fan of it as some other people are, and I think this would have been a better photo. Well, it definitely would have been a better photo with a better camera or better pair of cameras.
There's quite a lot of retinal rivalry, as I'm sure you're aware.
In the highlights, I mean, that's
I
natural.
know they're natural, but there's so many of them, and it's kind of discomforting to watch.
Yeah, it got my attention too. You could spot those out, but I think they're okay as they are. I like that your hand was pretty steady. There's no camera motion blur.
Has anyone noticed that the Twitch stream has seemed to have died?
Yes, I have, and I'm trying to restart it.
Okay, because I've been playing and playing and playing with my loom pad and couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong.
Okay, let's see if it comes back now. Let's see. I just noticed that myself, and
I didn't want to ask a stupid question until I had tried a few things at my end.
yeah, no, it's not you. It's something with Twitch. They seem to be rejecting the stream. Maybe I've hit some sort of a time limit or something. That's possible. Let me see here. I'm new to Twitch myself, so I don't really know all of the ins and outs of it. However, I'm going to try one thing here, and then we'll move on. I think Herb and I are the only ones who really care about this, and that's okay. But let me see if I can fix this quick technical issue. And let me start this up. Let's see. Almost there. Okay, I think, Herb, if you try it again in a minute or two, it should start up for you again. In a minute or two. Let me know how that works for you. It should start up for you again. In a minute or two. Let me know how that works. All right. Sorry for that delay. All right. Sorry for that delay. All right. Thank you for your feedback on this photo. Thank you for your feedback on this photo.
We have, speaking of feedback, we gotta. We have 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 speaking of feedback, we gotta.
Weird.
We have speaking of feedback, we gotta.
Weird.
We have speaking of feedback, we
All right, I think we're back. All right, I think we're back.
Before you leave,
All right, I think
Matt,
we're back.
is there any detail in your blacks? 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 Is there any detail in your
All right, how is this? Do we still have that feedback?
The feedback is gone and the stream seems to have continued.
Okay, I just stopped the stream. I think the stream is causing that feedback. So let me restart that. I've turned the sound down. Okay, I think we're in good shape. Sorry about that, everyone. Technical difficulties. Oleg, I missed your question.
Is there any detail in your blacks? I noticed the blacks are just plain black in most of your pictures.
Are you just this photo or the other photos that I've shown tonight?
This one and the previous one.
You know, in this one, yes, there is some detail because I brought the shadows down in this case. When it came out of the camera, it was overexposed, and there was some detail in these black areas.
I like this though. I think it has a very realistic feel. You know, like a dark and dingy pinball parlor. One suggestion I would make is try with a white border. I think it's a very nice composition, but the form of the composition is sort of lost in the dark borders. But if you give it a solid border, then I think it all kind of comes together.
That's a great idea. I will do that.
I would also get rid of that yellow screen or whatever it is on the left.
Yeah,
it's just in the one eye.
I just noticed that now. I'll probably just paint it out.
Yeah, just paint it out black, add a border, see what you think.
Yeah, I will. I'll follow up with both of those ideas. I especially like the border idea. I think that would help this. All right, and then my last photo. Thank you for your feedback, everyone. My last photo for tonight is the USS Red Oak Victory. And this is a cha-cha that I took on the ferry ride home from San Francisco to Richmond. And it's a shot I've actually been trying to get for years, but I always...
Matt, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
I'm getting it as a pseudo stereo.
Which are you looking
I'm watching
at? The Zoom screen share?
The regular feed on my computer.
Are you using...
The previous picture was also pseudo stereo after you tried to fix it for the Loom pad.
Okay. Let me fix that.
Is anybody else watching the main feed? Oh, wait.
Yeah, good call. Yeah, he got it.
I just fixed it. You know what happened? I had switched it for my countdown pinball machine, and I forgot to switch it back. I think everything is... I think everything's back to normal now. Let me make sure that's the case on the half-width side-by-side stream too. Yeah, looks good. Thanks, Steve.
I think you can look at, there's special glasses which will let you look at the entire world in pseudo that you can wear walking around, and you get used to it apparently after a while. They've tried experiments with human vision, and your brain just suddenly gets used to it. And then you take the glasses off, for a moment you have pseudo in your brain, and then it corrects. So I'm told. There was experiments just for your information.
You can get used to almost any kind of crazy thing. One experiment they did is using a prism to flip the world vertically, and after a day or something, it became perfectly normal for people. And then they take it off, and the world is upside down.
It's amazing. I wish they could use lenticulars. You put glasses on, and everything's lenticular. That's my dream world. Not really.
Melinda, years ago, didn't you show us some sort of a viewer or a headset that makes the world look hyper?
Yeah, wide eyes. So a head-mounted system of mirrors that triples your interocular distance for enhanced stereo. I had an application for it, which is why I built it. Let me find the video. I'll leave a link in the chat for a video I made showing how easily you can get used to it and how it works.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. That sounds wonderful.
So, Peter, I imagine the glasses or the viewers that you're describing must work in a similar way with mirrors or prisms or something in order to flip the world like that.
Yeah, I think a study was done like a long time ago, but the psychology of our brain will correct for many things, but apparently vertical misalignment is something we just don't get used to.
I've heard that too.
But I don't know. I only read this somewhere years ago. If someone has a link to all these tests, and Melinda's wonderful thing with the hyper viewing of the world, that's scary to walk around and see a mountain coming right at you. Jeez, drive a car with
No, driving is nuts. Yeah, even just as a passenger, I tried putting on my headset. It was just insane. But then I did once drive with a passenger who was perfectly fine with it. He really loved it, and was really sad when we stopped. He was like, "You took away my Superman vision."
It is.
But
it is enhanced.
Well,
vision.
Stephen Wright joke is you pick up a hitchhiker and you start driving and you say, "Buckle your seatbelt. I saw something in a cartoon. I'm going to try it."
Pick up a hitchhiker wearing those, and you might just wait for the next one. All right, thanks, guys. Melinda, we've got your group up next.
Okay, I just put the video link in the chat too.
Oh, Melinda, I don't see the link in the chat. Did you send it to everyone?
Maybe it takes a moment.
No, it shouldn't. Let's see.
I see the link to YouTube there from Melinda in my chat.
Oh, okay.
I guess I just didn't get it. Anyway, Melinda, tell us about boxy bushes.
Yeah, so this is just in my neighborhood. Just a very lovely scene that I came across. These lights, I think they're super tiny LED lights, which I find kind of interesting. They work really well in stereo. Initially, I was trying to grab the whole scene because the lights go all the way up the building. But as I started to work on the image, I started to realize it's really all about these bushes. You can really see their sort of rectilinear shape, and you can kind of see through. They're sort of semi-transparent. I just really love how these bushes turned out in stereo.
Great angle that you took those from, and your exposure is magnificent for the low light on the buildings and so on, matching everything beautifully.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was not completely dark, so still have a fair bit of blue in the sky. So I think it was good timing, but I think it's mostly about the lights. And they get that sort of nice what's the term? Bottom lit. Like the house has a strange glow to it from those lights. So the light is kind of filling the whole scene, including the ground, and throwing spots and things. It's really I don't know. I was really fascinated with just the lighting using these with these tiny little lights.
Yeah, it creates a really nice ambient light, as well as all these little individual spots. Very nice. Next from Melinda is delivery drone testing found.
Yeah, so this is another ground stereo from a video on how the I think this is probably the Amazon delivery drones that they're working on, and talking about all the extensive testing they go through and the challenges of flying in residential spaces and things like that. And there was a really neat shot here where they're testing the drone. The drone is just hovering over the X, and the guy on this lift is simulating a heavy rain, and then the footage was taken from a drone that was sort of orbiting. It was coming around from behind the lift and kind of circling around this scene. And you can see the drone operators in the background, and of course this spectacular rainbow that is clearly at infinity. So a very nice illustration of rainbow depth. And so it was a pretty easy image to work with, although when I finally sat down to make the final image, I decided that the horizon was extremely tilted, so I'd better try fixing that. And when I got the horizon straight, then it cropped out those two corners of the image, and I couldn't really crop in to fix it. So I decided to fix it with a border that just makes it a feature instead of a bug.
Pardon my ignorance, but what is rainbow depth? Are rainbows always at infinity?
Yes. Rainbows are always at infinity.
Why?
They're far away.
Yeah, I guess that's the way to think about it. I mean, so the sunlight is coming from infinitely far away, so there's no difference between the two eyes. So the position of the sun is the same to each eye, and it's also and rainbows are relative to the position of the sun, so the rainbows don't move between each eye.
I'm going to get out my graph paper tonight and just try to prove all that to myself. Thank you.
Sure. Good luck.
Melinda, you said you, when you straightened the horizon, you had to crop it in this way, which is kind of creative, but obviously you could have easily fixed the sky at the top. So what is the issue, the machine at the bottom?
Well, even the sky at the top, I mean, I've described before my frustration of trying to invent sky. It's very difficult. It's not a flat blue. There's a lot of gradient stuff going on. I knew not to try to do that. The bottom, of course, would have to be
Could you,
as a complete separate problem. But I didn't want to deal with that. I didn't want to zoom in, and I didn't want to try to recreate
well,
the missing
now,
part. So
I don't want to take too much time, but what techniques did you try to do the sky? Because I mean, sky is always not flat. But what I use like a smear brush, and or I'll clone it, or I'll copy a section and paste it. There's a lot of ways to fix that, and it doesn't usually take very long.
yeah, I've spent a lot of time cloning for sure. And I've submitted at least one image where it was successful enough, but it was a lot of work for a very small effect. It's
Yeah.
so I don't know. You're probably better at it than I am, but it's not something I've been very successful with in the past.
Are you using Photoshop?
Yes, but go ahead.
You could replace the whole sky, but it wouldn't work in this case because you have that spray, which is so subtle. It'd be
And
impossible
I mean,
to
sky.
replicate that.
I love the sky gradients that you sometimes get. It's not at all reproducible just from creating an artificial gradient. I mean, I'll do that when there's.
Does your version of Photoshop have like an AI assist?
Oh, the generative fill? No, and that it might actually work well enough there. In fact, it might even be able to invent
So you have
more of the lift.
non-subscription version of Photoshop, an old version.
Yeah, it's a fairly old version.
See, that's the one that I think Affinity you're the ones that I think would exactly benefit from Affinity, because it has a generative fill. It's not as robust as Photoshop's, but it's a lot better than the non-subscription version of Photoshop.
Okay, well, that's a good plug. Thank you.
And like I keep threatening to do, I'm happy to do a demo sometime.
Did you have special access, Melinda, to get near? I would have thought guys who are testing for the drone system wouldn't let people just watch and take pictures of it.
I think she said it was a video.
Yeah, this is from a video. That's why I put found in the title. Although I put found in square brackets, but the square brackets disappeared. So I guess they're.
But someone let you get in close to do the video even of the thing.
No, this is from a YouTube video.
Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't realize that. Anyway,
that's okay. I wasn't clear.
on it.
Thanks. Yeah, that's what the that's what the found meant, or at least that's what I'm using it for. And I encourage other people to do that too. When the source material is not your own photographs, but you've taken it from, especially from video or anything else where you start with somebody else's source, but you make it your own. And
I wish they had a drone picking up a porch pirate, taking them away.
That would be nice. Yeah. So this was a challenging one, but fun.
The depth is very good considering the camera that took this pair was sort of orbiting or rotating a bit. It wasn't a straight parallel line. And
Right, it wasn't straight.
and you
In fact, the shadow of the
rotated
drone used to be in the picture too, but I've cloned that out. That was in the lower right.
Yeah,
And
for all the work you did on
and
it,
I
it's very
took it
easy
out
to
because
view.
the height of the drone in each image was very different. So the image didn't really seem to benefit from it. The shadow of the delivery drone is important, and it's also stationary. So that worked well. But I took out the shadow of the drone that was filming it, and yeah, I was sort of orbiting the scene.
It's
Which is also not great for stereo, but I think it worked out well enough in this case.
yeah, it's very comfortable to view. I don't really
Good job. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see a
Great
lot of
shots.
distortion or
Oh, thank
anything
you.
from that. And the delivery drone you said was hovering. It wasn't moving. You didn't have to clone it or anything.
Right. It didn't move at all, and not even and the people didn't even move. The guy with the water hoses, I didn't have to touch anything to do with him. So everything else was pretty good. The things that I had to physically deal with were the drone shadows and the corners due to rotating the scene.
Melinda, do you think it would be helpful? Right now we have categories when you upload your submissions for our slideshow, native and conversion. Should we add a third found category? Would that be useful?
I think that's a good idea, but I also think that if we take it to its logical extreme, we're going to have at least 10 different categories, which is fine with me. I don't see that as a big problem, but something to be aware of.
Well, I encourage everyone to make found stereo pairs as Melinda has here. So let's say if we continue to see these, I'll consider adding a category. Until then, Melinda, I appreciate your idea of explicitly stating that these are found by including it in your title.
Someone else suggested that a couple months ago, so I just started doing that.
Well,
I think it's a good idea too, and it's because it's not strictly a category. It's not like we're giving best found or best pseudo or anything like that. We're just identifying them,
right.
and I think that's a good idea.
Yep.
How about stolen as a category?
I like it.
Stolen would be if I showed Melinda's photos next week, said they were mine, or next month. That could be our
I think
stolen
almost
category.
anything found is stolen, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's an interesting topic of discussion because we're stealing it, but we're making it our own too.
Yeah, and anybody who posts anything on YouTube is pretty much giving it to the public.
Yeah.
The Campbell soup appropriation, you're recontextualizing it.
Yes.
I like Jay's definition. It sounds better than stolen. All the stuff I get, the vintage stuff, I just lift off my Toronto Archives library, which they put all this stuff in the 30s photos, etc., etc.
Right.
And by the way,
Rockwell, yeah.
on YouTube they allow for fair use, so that's why you'll see very brief clips of other people's videos, other than the one that you're actually watching. And as long as they keep that, under, I don't know what it is, 2 or 3 seconds or something like that, you can use other people's video clips.
Does anyone know how to make MP3 songs, lift them off YouTube to put as an MP3?
I used a video downloader called 4K. Let me see. Let me find it, and I can't remember the title. 4K video downloader, and you can click on audio only, and then it'll
Oh.
download it as an MP3.
Oh, can you throw a link in there, Steve, for that?
I think so.
By the way, I solved the question of doing a slideshow with transitions and everything.
What
I figured that all out, finally.
What are you going
I'm
to
not-
use? This is for the library exhibit that you're putting together?
Yes,
And this
exactly,
is
for the
of,
library of local images and everything. And they've
Right,
got,
these are vintage photos that you've converted.
exactly, yeah.
So what did you end up using?
Pro Show Producer is the software, which is a discontinued software, but it's very easy to figure out intuitively. And it did a great job.
Great. I'm glad to hear that.
You can lay music tracks underneath it too. That's where the MP3 wants to come in.
So tell us, Peter and Melinda, I don't want to detract from your photo here, but Peter, has this exhibit started yet, or are you still setting this up? I know you told us about it.
I'm still setting it up because the library has 300 layers of permission you have to go
Right.
through to get anything
Right.
in there. But I've had good response. Showed it all on a little tablet, and everybody liked it. So I hope to put it on a big LG passive glasses TV, which I have laying around in the house.
Those are nice to
and
have lying around.
Yeah,
Well,
just lying around, you know.
I posted the link. I should mention, just a few weeks ago, you could unlimited downloads for free, and they just changed it to you have to pay a subscription if you want more than 3 a day.
Oh,
So,
I want 3 a year maybe on those, so I'm
well,
okay.
yeah, and what I've been doing is if I see something I like and I've already done 3, I'll just put the link in and save it in a file. So some other day I may not need any, and then I'll say, oh, I'll make sure I use my 3 today, my allotment.
Good idea.
All right, thanks, guys. Before we move on to Melinda's next photo, I did want to acknowledge Peter Homer's comment in the chat, going back to when we were talking about the hyper viewers, the wide eyes, as well as the pseudoscope or the pseudo glasses. And Peter comments that Sir Charles Wheatstone himself invented the pseudoscope, and Wheatstone invented the first, I believe it was him who invented the first, stereo viewer, a mirror viewer. And this was right before the dawn of photography. So he actually viewed stereoscopic geometric drawings rather than photos with his viewer, and a fascinating device. Anyone can build one. Still works. You just have to be looking in exactly the right place. Thank you, Peter, for sharing that. And I see Jay has posted a link to another video / audio downloader to scrape YouTube for the songs, the soundtrack that you need, Peter Sinclair, for your project, for your exhibit. Thank you, Melinda, for sharing Delivery Drone Testing Found. We have another found stereo pair by Melinda next. This is Jaguar Found.
Yeah, so this was also a bit challenging. It's from a video called something like when the light hits your eye, something like that, and it's literally about how photoreceptors work, and it had a bunch of clips of what I assume are just stock video footage or something that YouTubers use. Um, these clips are only a few seconds long and weren't terribly well in context with the video. The video is pretty fascinating, but when the camera is moving in just the right way, it usually catches my eye, and in this case, I grabbed a couple of frames. The most challenging thing was that the camera was not moving horizontally. I mean, it was mostly horizontally, but it had a big vertical component to it too. So I wasn't sure it was going to work out at all. But with stereo photo maker's auto align, it did a pretty good job. Although I think it distorted the face a bit, but it was good enough to work with. And I'm not even 100% sure that this was taken from actual live video. It might actually be AI rendered. I'm just not sure. But it's certainly beautiful source imagery. I had to do a fair amount of fussing to get, like, the eye on the left was quite a bit different in both images. So I had to. It's hard to explain, but if you saw the original stereo pair, it was that sort of brownish diagonal streak across the eye was like sticking way out of the eye. So I had to fuss with that a number of times until I got something that looked like a real eye. But otherwise it was all pretty straightforward.
There's definitely 3D happening in those eyes.
Yeah, the eye on the right is correct, and the eye on the left, you can sort of see how that brownish stuff seems to be at the front of the eye, and that'll give you an idea of what I was dealing with. And yeah, it's very sharp. It would be pretty spectacular as a native photo if it really was a photo.
I mean, to me, it looks like you shot this with your red hydrogen 1. It's got about the same degree of depth, and it's a portrait, and I mean, it's
yeah, and the lighting is spectacular, but I think it's at better image quality than I could get out of the H1. But it's yeah, it was only a very brief clip, and I couldn't get a good mostly horizontal.
How many frames
pair.
were you able to actually extract from that brief clip that you were able to work with? Did you have a lot of frames to choose from, or was it just a really tiny?
No, it was very tiny. Very tiny. So, yeah, given that I'm looking for separation of a certain amount, yeah, there were only, I don't know, maybe half a dozen possible pairs, and all of them had sort of that vertical problem. I don't know. It seemed worth it to try anyway, even though it was starting with a few problems. But I think it was reasonably successful.
Yeah. I don't think you could have captured this any other way. And I encourage you and everyone to continue submitting these found pairs. We don't have a found stereo special this year for our special stereo challenge. But that certainly doesn't mean that you can't submit them as open images, as Melinda has done here. So let's keep these up. These are really fascinating, and they enable us to create stereo photos of scenes that we just can't otherwise access. We have one.
Are we doing a creative?
We are doing
special?
creative, yeah. So
that works too.
That works too, yeah. We've got a creative in October, and everything else is, a little more technical stereo this year. Rivalry, mergers, hypo. But we'll take found stereo at any meeting. Thank you, Melinda. We have one more by you. Phlebotomy Selfie 3 is the title. Yeah.
Yeah, I continue to torture my audience. I remember the first time I submitted one of these, people were pretty angry. But then on the second time, I was surprised that everybody seemed to be fine with it. So recently had some blood work done. And so the way that I sort of deal with the event psychologically has turned it into a photography opportunity. So it was so I just tried to grab a snapshot, and all three of them compositionally turned out to be almost exactly the same. So this is just the latest version for your viewing displeasure.
Well, at least it hasn't pierced the skin.
Now, although it's interesting that there is a little specular highlight at the tip of the needle in one eye and not in the other, and that gives it a little, I don't know, makes it a little menacing to me.
It is, yes.
And in the past, I had, I think, or at least the last time I had asked the phlebotomist to sort of hold that pose while I composed the image. This time I didn't tell them what I was doing. So I grabbed it live. This was really the moment before.
We do have an action special coming up in November, and there's some action in this shot. There's definitely something about to happen, and I think we can all feel that. This photo definitely puts me in your shoes, puts me in your seat.
Well, I was in the photographer's seat, so I was. That's the way I try not to focus on what's happening to me. I'm just trying to get the shot, and that seems to help.
It's like you're shooting somebody else.
Yeah.
Red hydrogen one, I presume?
Yep.
All right. I like this one quite a bit, but I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, so I'm going to move on. Thank you, Melinda. This one for me is a little better than Jack Musako's Spiders, if I had to choose, but very well done. Jay, thank you for waiting. I saved you for last. I appreciate your patience. We've got 4 by Jay.
Oh, yeah.
And the first one is, Harold, is that you?
Yeah, this was the Chicago Art Museum, and that was the first thing I thought of seeing Silverman. Taken with a loom pad. And
Is Harold the name of the Silverman?
yeah, Harold goes by Silverman when he's in his silver costume.
Got it.
And yeah, this guy's costume matched Harold's, so
His last name is Bays, right? Harold Bays?
yeah, Harold Bays.
So Harold,
Yeah.
of course, is a legacy GGSS member. He used to be a member of the Oakland Camera Club. He might have even have been the president of the Oakland Camera Club at one point. I know he was involved for a long time, and he's since relocated. I think he's retired. Is he in
Detroit.
Minnesota? In any case, yeah, there's a close connection there.
Yeah.
Jay, did you take this with your loom pad?
Yes.
It's really
Yeah.
sharp. Great
It's
exposure. Great.
cropped in. Yeah. And
Nice.
it was a good time of the day.
Yeah, I love the light playing over the surface of this figure. And that staircase makes a nice curve also.
Yeah. It was a pretty like empty, like nothing else going on in that area. But yeah, they seem to have at least a few layers of depth.
Does the loom pad get heavy for you carrying it around, using it as a camera?
I'm not holding it for that long, and I do need to have a case that I can have like quicker access.
Do you have like a
You know,
backpack?
it's usually
or
my
something for it?
backpack, and then I have to take it out, and that's a pain.
Got it. Yeah, the loom pad is a heavy tablet. I seldom bring it with me just because it weighs so much.
Yeah, I've like taken 8x10 film cameras out in the field, so this is fine.
You're tough. You've been there, done that. All right, thanks, Jay. Let's move on to Ivory Battle. I think we've seen a one of this series or prior meeting.
Yeah, yeah, same museum, the Blackwing Museum, and just amazing the detail these sculptures have.
Is this also shot with a loom pad?
Yep.
Yeah. You know, really nice exposure and detail.
Yeah.
Jay, do people ever wonder when you're holding a loom pad up to something what the heck you're doing?
No. No, enough people have done iPads, etc.
Oh, okay. It's common in the real world then. Okay.
Jay, is that a flying saucer suspended with wires or something like that?
Oh, light reflection. Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering also, yeah, because it doesn't seem to be thematically matching the sculpture. It looks like the Earth versus the flying saucer. What is that anyway?
I think that's just a light, maybe.
Okay, a light
fixture.
fixture.
Yeah.
So we're getting a little bit of a Pepper's Ghost effect there.
Yeah, I do not have a polarizing filter big enough for the room.
I want to believe.
All right, thank you, Jay. Also from Jay, a little diorama here. This is another mini room. This was taken in Chicago, I believe.
Yes, yep.
Yeah, and then
Yeah, same as last month, Chicago Art Museum. This one was actually This might have been a cha-cha, I'm not sure. I try a bunch with the loom and doing some cha-chas. And I also try doing some with the loom pad with the screen-facing camera.
How is that camera? Is it adequate?
Yeah, that shot of the airplane under mechanism,
Mm-hmm.
I used that
Okay.
a few months. It's just annoying to, to use it. And just hasn't been worth making a mirror attachment.
Yeah, if this were
Yeah.
a little less hyper, it'd be very convincing as a as a actual size
Ooh.
space.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you zoom in a bit, it looks pretty realistic. More realistic.
Let's try that. Just
Still pretty hyper.
all right. I just zoomed in a little bit. That'll catch up on our live streams in a few seconds. Just to see what happens.
Yeah.
It's pretty rough, but yeah, gosh. To me, it looks like natural lighting. It must be artificial lighting, but the
Yeah,
quality of the light
all of
definitely
these
helps.
miniatures have fake outdoor lights.
Yeah,
Just gorgeous.
very convincing. Beautiful. And then one more from Jay.
Again, the Blackwing Museum. This is like a 30-foot diorama, just huge. Donation to the museum. Yeah, also loom pad. And I could see going back with just some other separate camera. It's like hard to get anything with, a good angle. Sort of need like a periscope camera.
Is there a glass partition in front of this? Do you have to worry about reflections?
Actually, no. It is like a little foot high, and that's it. So I didn't have any glass.
This reminds me of the type of thing I would photograph at the Musée Mécanique or at the old Playland, not at the Beach Museum where we would meet.
Oh yeah.
Good times. Well, what a great subject. Thank you, Jay. Okay. That is our slideshow, but of course we're not done. We're going to take our poll. I will run through the slideshow again and name the title and maker of each one, and then we'll spend a minute or two making our selections. I'll give everyone a minute if you'd like now to pull up the poll. You can use the QR code there if you want to use your phone or tablet. You can also use the link if you prefer to use a web browser on your computer. And of course, this is not required or mandatory, but if you are able to participate, the more votes, the better. And I'll show this information again at the end of the slideshow. So let me run through these real quick. I'll just spend a few seconds on each one. And the first two I'm going to skip. All right, starting with Buenos Aires Cemetery by Steve. La Boca Artist by Steve. La Boca Street by Steve. Penguin Rock by Steve. Ruins at the San Pablo Bay National Refuge by Oleg. White Cars and White Clouds at Lakeside by Oleg. Geraldine and Two Dogs on Railroad Tracks by Oleg. Reflected Couple and Two Fishermen by Oleg. Countdown by Matt. Olafur Eliasson One-Way Color Tunnel by Matt. Pinball Repair by Matt. USS Red Oak Victory by Matt. Boxy Bushes by Melinda. Delivery Drone Testing Found by Melinda. Jaguar Found by Melinda. Phlebotomy Selfie by Melinda. Harold, Is That You by Jay. Ivory Battle by Jay. Another Mini Room by Jay. And Cowboys and Indians by Jay. And that's our group. Let's spend 60, 90 seconds or so, make our three selections, and I will share the results with the group. Herb,
Matt,
yes.
I don't know why I'm the only one who seems to have a problem with this. Every time we meet, I always have to type in, and I forgot the type. Do you think it's possible to stick it in the email and just leave it there every time you send an email? Because otherwise, I don't know. Am I the only one who's on the computer?
Well, I just go to the URL and start and type in straw, and it usually
I did
goes
that,
right.
and nothing came up. And then I typed in straw poll, and nothing came up. And then I typed in straw poll GGSS, and I forgot it's strawpoll.com. By the time I got there, the image had already gone away, so I was too late. So when I do this, it happens every time. I don't know why I'm the only one.
Well, you're not the only one, Steve. And also, every time I have to hunt for the Zoom invitation, since it's no longer part of the email as well. So,
Okay, good. Thank you.
so
I don't feel so bad.
basically, a few more URLs doesn't take very much more bandwidth in the modern internet. So,
So,
and
yeah,
and if I can just ask Steve a question.
absolutely.
Earlier you had said that that there's some sort of a video switcher that you can order, and then you get the that $300 premium included in that. And I looked online, there's dozens of different switchers. Do you have a specific URL that you can share for that?
Yeah, I don't know too much about it. I know it's Black Magic Design that uh makes
Yeah,
DaVinci
Black,
Resolve, and I think they make a variety of switchers. I haven't found a need for a switcher, and I still use the free version. So that's only something if you want to use the full version
yeah,
and
so
you want to get maximum value for your money. And if you're not going to use a switcher, then just pay
yeah.
for the full version of
No,
DaVinci
I
Resolve.
understand. I understand what you're saying. I was just looking to see because I always like to just see what options there are. And they had dozens of switchers, and I looked at the least expensive switcher, and it didn't offer a free version. And so I was just wondering if you happen to know which switcher. You said there was a $400 one.
I think any of the switchers come with the free. So what the people online have been suggesting is just get the cheapest one.
Okay. I'm not about to buy a switcher. I was just looking. I always like to have that information. So thanks.
So, Steve, I apologize for the confusion with the poll link. I had to stop including the links in the email because if you include too many links in an email that you send to multiple people, then it'll get flagged as spam. And a lot of my emails were getting rejected and weren't getting sent, and it was becoming a big pain in the neck for me. So
Okay, fair enough. I'll put it in a place where I can find it easily.
yeah,
Thanks for the explanation, Matt.
I will also try to remember to put the link in the chat before I do the run through the final review before we make our selections. I do put the link in the chat at the beginning of the meeting, but we're not voting then. So I'll try to remember to make it available in the chat also, just to make it easier for you. I do try to use the same URL each month, strawpoll.com/GGSF. There's no guarantee that's going to be the case, but so far no one else wants that. It's kind of it's a little janky the way they let you customize these URLs. But you can, as Jay said in the chat, you can bookmark it. But I'll make an effort to put it in the chat before we vote so that you don't have to scramble. Make it easy for you.
A possible suggestion,
Sure.
Matt? If it says a Word document, you can sweep it and paste it instead of typing all that WW straw thing out.
In a Word document?
Just, the Microsoft Word or whatever. So it's a text thing. So you just sweep the thing to copy it. Unless there's a way to, in your please vote in the slideshow poll, is there a way to sweep that and paste it into?
No, it's just
yeah.
It's just a picture, it's not like actual text.
So that's what I was thinking. If it's a text file in your thing, and it wouldn't trigger any spam things.
What I can do, I don't think I have the link on the homepage of the website. And that would work it wouldn't be a Word doc, but you could still, select it and copy it and paste it. Instead of off of our website, if it's, in an obvious place. That's something I can definitely do. I think that would probably make it easier for everybody also. Okay. Yeah, let me look into that. Now that said, does anyone need more time to make their selection? Sounds like everyone who can vote is going to vote, has voted. So let me pull up the results here. And I'll share them with you. show the results, share my screen. Okay. Oleg, your Geraldine and Two Dogs on Railroad Tracks will take our first selection tonight with four votes. And I don't quite know how to break this out. We have a three-way tie for what we'll call second between Oleg's Reflected Couple and Two Fishermen, my Countdown, and my USS Red Oak Victory. Thank you very much. And then the rest, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that received one vote, we'll call that a shared third or something like that.
I would just say a three-way tie for second and no third.
I like that, yes. And again, this isn't about winners or losers, but we do want to see which photos gain the more interest. So thank you, everyone. All right, now we're running a few minutes late. It's 9:06. If you want to suffer through this, I will tell you all about Hilux, battles, blizzards, and beyond. And the reason I wrote a book about it, let me share this. I'll tell you the story. Jay already put this link in the chat, but this is the book. To understand why I wrote this book about a pickup truck that I've never driven, I don't own a pickup truck. I've never owned a Toyota, and you can't even acquire these in the U.S. So the story is you have to go back to 1992, I think it is, and there was this new thing called the World Wide Web, and everyone was talking about it, and I got the idea that I wanted to register some domain names for this new thing. And I didn't know what this thing was or what it was going to be, but I wrote down a list of words, names that I thought might be good for the web. One of them was mattbergman.com, which I still use today. It's my email address. And another one I got out of this book, Widescreen Movies by Robert E. Carr. He also wrote 3D Movies, A History and Filmography of Stereoscopic Cinema. These date, I think, from the 80s. And anyway, one of the words I got out of this book was the word Hilux, Hilux. Short, it's got an X in it. Thought somebody might be interested in it. And I didn't even pay for it. I had to write a letter to like the National Science Foundation or something and request these words. And then like 6 months later, they wrote me back and said, okay, we're going to give you these. And one of them was Hilux. And I sat on it all this time. And then I was contacted by a broker who wanted to sell it to Toyota. He said he was going to make me a millionaire. And I said, sure, give it a try. And Toyota said, no, we're not interested. But then I got the idea, how can I exploit this and make some money? And tried a couple things, and I ultimately settled on the idea of writing this book. It's an ebook, and then on the website, I've reprinted the book, and I have also run ads on it. So it's basically a scheme to make money with advertising on the Hilux.com website. But it's a legitimate book. If you want to know about the Toyota Hilux, if you want to know what I know about the Toyota Hilux, go ahead and read it. But I also want to share something that's a little more relevant, and that is this book that I just published. It's an ebook republished. Oliver Wendell Holmes, Sr., American polymath. He was a physician, an essayist, a poet, and he invented or designed, he didn't invent the stereoscope, but he designed the stereoscope that we still call the Holmes stereoscope. And I've been feeling that we don't really have enough literature about stereophotography. And I've taken it upon myself to republish these essays. And I wrote a little foreword that basically justifies why these essays are still relevant today. And if you have 99 cents to spare, I encourage you to buy it. I'd like to give it away for free, but they won't let me give it away for free for some reason. So that is that's the story of my my authorship.
So actually, Matt, I'm not necessarily encouraging you to give it away for free, but if you want to give it away for free, just create a PDF and put the link to the PDF on your website, and then you can give it away for free, and nobody can prevent that.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I will make it more accessible with a PDF, and I'll probably post it on my personal website also, so people can just read it there. And these articles are available elsewhere on the web if you know where to look for them, but I don't think the conversion has been very good. What I find with a lot of these is people just run the original through an OCR and just post that, and they don't make any corrections for the inevitable errors because of, you know, obscure typefaces and archaic vocabulary, that sort of thing. So I put a lot of effort into this. It's definitely worth your time if you're interested.
So now, how many millions did you make from the Hilux video? Book?
Let's see. I earn 40 cents a week off of that book, selling, you know, through actual book sales, and the ads, couple bucks a week, not much. It was an experiment. It's definitely not going to be a source of income. But it was worth a try. I don't know what else to do.
And you wrote it in the days before generative AI, so it was a substantial amount of work.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah, no AI tools were used in either of these two publications.
I noticed there's a leather-bound version for $34.
Yeah, that's not.
That ever sell?
That's not my version. That would be an original version. I'll show you. Let's see if it'll.
You don't get a royalty from that one?
No. You know, this is a public domain book, a reprint. And what someone has done here is they're doing something similar, but they're making kind of a phony bound version. You can still buy original bound versions of it, published in the 1890s. Here's one right here, by Underwood and Underwood.
If you want to make the Holmes book for free, why not put it into the Internet Archive library?
That's a great idea. That's really where it belongs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't pay $225 for it. This is the same as my version. Yeah, great idea. I'll make a PDF available for download, and I'll post it. I'll post a version on the Internet Archive. That's really where it belongs.
Now, I missed how you came up with the name.
Hilux?
Yes. So you were squatting the name, but I forgot how you how you came up with that in the first place.
I
Where did that
pulled
come
it-
from?
I pulled it out of a book. I was looking for 3, 4, and 5 letter words with like hard consonants. It was this, whole strategy I had trying to imagine what kind of websites would exist in the future. See what it says about Hilux here. So I got it out of a book called Widescreen Movies, A History and Filmography of Wide Gauge Filmmaking. And I think I just pulled it out of the appendix, actually. And I will read to you. It's brief, fortunately. It doesn't even have its own chapter. Here we go. Well, I'm not going. It's mentioned briefly. I'm not going to bother you with the context, but just know that I pulled it out of the appendix out of this book because I thought that it would be a word that might make a good website for somebody, and that's the extent of my my thinking behind it at the time. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for putting up with tonight's technical difficulties. Herb, I don't know if the Twitch stream stayed up because I lost my battery on my Loompad.
It does appear to still be up. It's on the please vote slide.
Great. Okay. So I'll call that mostly a success. And I hope to see everyone next week. What is that? February 11th, Tuesday. It's our special. Our special subject challenge is Through the Window. And some of you have submitted your Through the Windows to me, but I will accept them up until Monday night. So please share what you have. Before we call it a night, does anyone have anything they'd like to? Oh, Jay, I saw your question, the exhibit that I shot at. Which photo was that referring to?
Those like the blue like tunnel, right?
Right, that was at the SF MoMA. And it's called One Way Color Tunnel. And I was at the SF MoMA to see this Group F64 exhibition, which is not a 3D exhibition, but it's definitely worth checking out. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for sticking with me. And I will see everyone next week, Tuesday the 11th. Thanks,
And
all.
for folks,
Yes.
and for folks who haven't been paying attention, the first episode of the next season of NYSA Presents starts this Saturday.
That's right. Yes, the new season. Thanks for reminding me, Herb. Jay, I know you're closely involved with that. And I expect that I'll see you there.
Just a question, Matt. If I ever get this library MP4 thing, which would run about 5 minutes, is it something I could show to our group here?
We can try it. Video
I don't know if you do that.
doesn't really stream very well over Zoom. We tried that with one of my videos, and it was a really low frame rate. But yours is more of a slideshow, right?
Yeah.
Well, I know
And
that-
can I screen share it and just
Yeah.
me play and everyone look at it?
That might work because, Herb, you show the ISU code slideshows at the Cascade meetings, and those are videos.
Yes.
So, that probably would work. And I think, Peter, the easiest way to do it would be just for you to send it to me, and then I could set it up on my end here and share it. We could definitely
Okay.
do it over Zoom. I'm not sure if I could do it over YouTube, Twitch, but we could also post it on the GGSS YouTube channel so people could watch it after the meeting if you wanted.
So
That's
I
something that I could do
believe,
too.
Matt, that when I stream it on the Cascade Stereoscopic Club, the ISUs do get streamed on the YouTube live stream, which doesn't work on the Loom pad, obviously, but if you go back and watch it on the Loom pad, you can actually see it in the 3D. It's side by side, half width is what it's streamed as, and so you don't have the anaglyph color problem.
Got it. It sounds like, Peter, that's something that we can do.
I'll shoot it over to you first, Matt, just to vet it and make sure it's acceptable and works, etc.
Sure.
And if not, no big deal.
It's probably going to be too big to email, so let me know when it's ready, and I'll set up something where you can upload it to my, upload it to me, make it easy.
We transfer something, maybe.
Exactly, something like that. Yeah, we got a couple.
Okay,
options.
I'll let you know if I ever get it done for them.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
Thank
I'm sure you
you.
will get it done. Well, I guess it's kind of up to them if they're going to actually exhibit it, but I encourage you to complete it, and I'd love to screen it. Yeah, I think since it's a slideshow, not like full motion video, I'm sure we can do that.
Okay, thank you.
You got it. Thank you. All right. Thanks, everyone. Good night. I'll see you next week. Thanks, all.
Good night, all.